The problem that we had, that I had to explain to Scott, he had a couple of issues. He was really freaked out that his inventory on non-rim went up 60 or 45,000. And it turned out that with PBS, there was two issues. Number one was we weren't getting the core value.
Yeah. Wasn't.
And that was brought up by our client in Haver, who said, send me a dirty core report. And we couldn't pull it out of playbook because we weren't getting the feed from PBS.
Yeah.
So we got a hold of PBS, and not only were we not getting core, but we weren't getting super sessions and memos. We weren't getting the entire parts inventory. So he had $21,500 in superseded parts with an on hand. So his inventory went up $21,500. So I had to explain to him that we were inaccurately reporting his inventory because we didn't get that feed, and that the cores, it never affected his force stock because we weren't getting the cores anyway. So there you go.
Okay. Well, I thought that when I asked on the team meeting that, because I was like, can we turn this into a marketing thing? Is there something to be said about dirty cores and how DealerTrack and PBS? Is there an education on dirty cores that we can provide?
The only education is if we went to CDK, because CDK, unless you turn on their core tracking, which is very complicated,
Yep.
you got to track it manually. Reynolds has the best dirty core tracking program in the country. They don't show up on your inventory, but you easily, when you bring cores back in, you can run a simple program called a report called 2222, and it shows you all your dirty cores. And when you get your credits, you minus the cores out through the transaction program. The simplest program in the world. And DealerTrack and PBS, they put them out there. Now, the problem was we had some dealers that, we want to see them, and some that don't. It's not reflective of your physical inventory. It's reflective of your WIP, work in process. You got a dirty core. One of two things is going on with the dirty core. It's either in transit and you're waiting for a credit, or it's sitting on the floor and you're waiting to send it back. Once you get your credit in, going through those programs and educating the clients how to build the core return, just like a regular parts return, and tracking them that way, that's probably the key for DealerTrack and PBS. We've had a lot of DealerTrack clients that they'll have, huge inordinate amounts of dirty core value. And it was because the parts manager, they were getting the credits, but they didn't know how to minus it out of the system by doing a return.
Got it. So that's the problem.
And that's why it made the inventory look a lot worse, because you never sell cores. You minus them out of the system. Dirty cores are minused out of the system.
And where do the dirty cores show up in the DMS and reporting if you're not minusing it out?
Well, with PBS and DealerTrack, they have a status called core. So anything with the status of core and an on hand is a dirty core until you minus it out.
But I'm talking like in health terms, in inventory health. Where does it show up when you're looking at your inventory as a whole? Is it separated? Like looking at your inventory, these are the dirty cores, and it's not.
Not without running a report,
That's my point.
DealerTrack does have a dirty core report.
Okay.
You go in, it's just a standard canned dirty core report, and you can pull that up. And of course, that needs to be run for month-end reconciliation. So anyway, with Techion, I just went through their month-end reconciliation. They had a webinar on it, and they did a very good job of explaining where to find everything. And they have a dirty core report, which would be a lot like Reynolds and Reynolds. But they had some things logistically that weren't right, that they didn't explain right. It was pretty good, but both Reynolds and Techion, have dirty core reports that you can track and look at the stuff and minus them out,
So the key or the important thing to know about dirty core is that you have to do a core return to get them off your system.
Right, and then you have to minus it out once you actually get the credit.
Once you get
because that's important to add to your WIP, because the dirty core value is in the inventory until you get a credit, whether it's in transit and it takes 10 days or 60 days to get that credit, you have to use that in your reconciliation to keep your GL straight. So,
Okay.
I mean, you could certainly go through their webinar classes and get qualified, but they just overcomplicate it. And why they haven't stolen Reynolds and Reynolds program is beyond me. You know, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what I say.
Yeah. Why are they all doing it so differently? So, how long does it take to get those credits? Do you ever find that
Oh,
there's discrepancies? Like
well, and that's why you really want to, you know, track the day you send it by building a return or, you know, even on a spreadsheet. Hey, here's the day that, you know, the trucking company picked up the core, you know, and receipted it. You start tracking it from that point. It can take up, you know, sometimes up to 60 days to get credits, you know, especially after the strike with GM. That could have been 3 or 4 months. So,
that makes sense. Do the
but at
credits
least,
automatically show up?
well, they show up, no, you know, they show up on the part statement. Okay. You know, here's part number 1, 2, 3, 4, credit receipt number, such and such, you know. That's typically how you track it. You get your credits on your part statement.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to cover on dirty cores? Do you feel like that was enough?
No, not really. Just, you know, if you're not educated to working with dirty cores or the process to build a return on them and track them, definitely look into it because it is a critical part of your inventory, you know, especially if you're large into powertrain and things like that. You know,
Yeah.
so
It can make your inventory look
yeah,
differently.
it's just like anything else. Really learn how to track it, how to utilize the program and do it properly so that you're happy and the office is happy, bottom line.
Okay. Very good.